We begin, though, with President Trump ramping up his administration's crackdown on crime in the nation's capital and across the country. The president has signed a series of new executive orders that includes preventing cashless bail and criminalizing flag burning in the U.S. Those new orders, they also call for the Department of Defense to create specific National Guard units across the country trained to deal with public order issues. The president also says the military is ready to intervene in other cities outside of the capital if needed.
We're ready to go anywhere. We have a full complement of great human beings. We're full. You know, our military is full. We were way empty 1 year ago. Now we're full. So we can go anywhere on less than 24 hours notice.
And joining us now is CBS News White House reporter Olivia Rinaldi. Olivia, great to have you with us. These executive orders are pretty wide-ranging. What more can you tell us about them, and also the timing of all this? Why is he doing this now?
Well, Nancy, it's certainly not happening in a vacuum. This is part of the federal crackdown that Trump is waging here in Washington, D.C. There was a variety of executive orders he signed today, and one specifically targets cashless bail. That is something that has happened in D.C. since the 1990s, and essentially what it is allows people who have been arrested to leave without posting bond in the form of a cash bail. The president argues that this increases crime, puts people back out on the street, and as a result of that, he says he signed an executive order today that takes steps to really eliminate cash bail. What that means is in Washington, D.C., if they don't take steps to really eliminate that policy, Trump says he will take away some federal funding. Not only is he planning to do it in Washington, but he signed another executive order directing his Attorney General Pam Bondi to look at other states and prevent any federal resources from being used for cashless bond in those states as well. The president also signed an executive order about flag burning, saying that that would now be a criminal act. We should note, though, that back in 1989, there was a Supreme Court ruling that said that is actually an act of free speech and is allowed. So it seems like this White House is trying to mount a legal challenge to that as well. So a lot of action here today from the White House and the president's efforts to really fight crime nationwide.
Yeah, on top of all that, on that point, Olivia, the president, they're continuing to allude to sending the federal government in to take over policing in Chicago, as well as perhaps other Democratic-led cities. Do we know if and when that could happen?
Well, the president was asked about this specifically today. Is this something he's planning? When is this going to happen? And he says, we may wait, we may not wait. We may just go in and do it. These are his words from earlier today. He said, we're ready to go anywhere, that the military is prepped and ready to go as our federal resources. But as of this moment, seems pretty non-committal to it. But of course, President Trump has repeatedly raised the idea that he would do this once they finish with Washington, D.C. But Nancy, we should note the difference here is that Washington, D.C. is a federal city, and therefore the federal government has some jurisdiction here. There's not a similar jurisdiction that they have in cities like Chicago, New York, Los Angeles, which have Democratic mayors and are run by Democratic governors who control their own National Guard.
Yeah, a very different set of circumstances there. And Olivia, on top of all this, President Trump hosting his South Korean counterpart at the White House this afternoon. And it follows President Trump starting the day slamming South Korea. So what came of today's talks?
Well, it was a little bit of a 180 from that True Social post earlier today where the president criticized the leader of South Korea and their country for raids that have happened on churches. Instead, in the Oval Office, we saw an extremely complimentary president of South Korea, President Lee, telling President Trump that he has seen how the economy has reacted to President Trump's policies. He joked about President Trump meeting with Kim Jong-un and perhaps the construction of Trump Tower in North Korea, and also about playing golf potentially with Kim Jong-un and bringing peace to the Korean Peninsula. So quite notable there that he is taking the form of flattery towards President Trump and really laying it on as a way to increase their relationship. There's a lot at stake with this meeting here, not only with tariffs and trade deals, but also the military coordination between the U.S. and South Korea. So certainly a lot on the table for them to discuss today, but certainly President Lee wanted to get off on the right foot.
Absolutely. Olivia Rinaldi, thanks so much for being with us.